Alright. Hey guys, welcome to Camp Race League. So, this video should be recording now. Anyway, back here with the Lost Series videos here. So this part, I somehow got this all together yesterday. And it was very quick to do. So I was like, hey, you know what? This morning, well, I was waiting till tomorrow to make this, but I was like, this morning I'll go ahead and get this video knocked out real quick before I get ready for work. Um, so I do want to say first in this, there are a lot of announcements coming this week. So if you actually are watching the video all the way for the start and you hear me right now, there are some pretty big announcements coming this week, and something big I'm talking about that I I posted about this last night, and I got the idea of the series, but I'm thinking about making like what would have happened and probably counting it for certain years in year long format, like after 2017. And plus, what I would have done with the secondary series, because I'm pretty sure after 2017, I probably would have been done with the trucks since I got more certain Gen 4 cars during that time. But anyway, back here with this. So this is the second set of the BMRN section here, these videos here. So the first section, I went over the 3 series that ran like 1 or 2 seasons. Well, now we're going to get the last 3 series and last 3 parts here for all series separate. The first one is the one that had the least amount of seasons in its history, which was the Shane's Xfinity series. So this was actually my first secondary series. So this was kind of series where I brought back a lot of the street stock cars back in 2017 after the year I was done doing year long format. This was around the summer whenever I stopped doing that stuff. And yeah, so I use basically like little like street cars of diecast I have for any type of car. I gave them car numbers, and 1 or 2 of the numbers were very dominant throughout this time in these 3 seasons, and surprisingly they weren't as dominant in the short track series actually. But yeah, in this series here, so it ran for 3 seasons. And basically, too, like I'll talk about more in the Cup series, but the main thing with NASCAR Advance League when I started, that was my first real series using all just NASCAR based cars. Like the Gen 6 car, I used some COTs and the Gen 4s back in 2017 because I didn't have a very big Gen 6 roster yet. And some car numbers I didn't even have on the Gen 6 number. Like the 44, I know was in there, 94, 93, probably was in there. Then yeah, like the number 16, the Greg Biffle's 3M COT I had, but I didn't have his Gen 6 ones. So anyway, for this here, so also I'll go say this too. Without me realizing that my old website I made back in high school was still up, I probably would have had a lot of these drivers in these lists here because back in school I had to make a website for like my film and my architecture class stuff and kind of share projects there. I also put basically everything for the league there, and that was kind of my league website back in the day. If you look at Caleb Campbell on Weebly, you will find the list for where I was able to find all the information I needed for this video. And I'm going to use it for the Gen 4 and the Cup one too because everything is accurate except for the race I simulated through for the end of season number 7. And I don't have pole sitters for, I believe, the X Series season for part season 1 and probably season 2 in the Cup Series as well. But yeah, it was definitely very interesting to be able to find that and kind of get something to help me better have this roster be more accurate to what it was back in that series. Unfortunately, I think in the ARCA series, I might have found someone who ran in it, but I'll double check later because I do have the ARCA results for the first 7 races on there for the pole sitters and everything. But I'm pretty sure most of the newer drivers that were those rookies I couldn't find were not did not win any poles in that season. So anyway, back to the series here. So in the first season of the X series, of course, is being all the street stock cars. Ezekiel Morse drove the one car. So like I think it said in the truck series, and he wasn't really a lost driver because he did run the BMR throughout his course, and he ran in the NFL in the first year. Second season, he went down here full time and drove this number 1 car. I also found out this number 1 car did run in the short track series as well with Tanner Gray in one season. By the way, I don't know if I had him on that list yet. I put James Kinghorn in 3. I think originally it was Dylan Bass in 3. I was kind of struggling, like trying to figure out who drove it in the 3 car that ran very well in this 48. The 66 as well. Actually, 66 is pretty funny. I'll get to it in here in a second. You got Elizabeth Boutel, Ducky Boutel, Christian Parker. So Christian Parker, James King, they also raced season 1 in the Cup Series along with Junior Ramos, but they all went down here. Jackson Rago, I added him into the league around this time, and yeah, he was actually a rookie in my car in this season. The 41, that was Kamari Harris. I'm pretty sure he actually signed up for this spot. I thought someone else in the 41 first season, only because I didn't know who drove this car, and it was one of my cars too back then. And of course, I don't really have accurate roster for what was actually in this season, just like how it was for the ARCA series and the short track series seasons. 46 team, probably the most dominant team on the season. All these drivers on this list, say for Noah Smith, won. I think Noah Smith was in his car, but he was never able to win. I think Noah Smith did actually. Noah Smith never won a series. I thought he had a win, but he never did. But yeah, so this Sarah Cox, she started out her career at the end of the season in this 46 car. You'll see her results at the end of the season. Dylan Bates in a 48, like I said, I thought he was in the 3 car, but he was actually in all of these X Series seasons. Eric Monaco, I remember bringing in the 51 here. Jake Cooper 56. This was a part-time Joe Gibbs car, but I didn't have any other drivers listed down. Austin Myers, he was actually a friend of Shane Winslow, who will be a pretty fun story, I guess, whenever we get to the Cup Series. Fun and sarcastic way, by the way. Yeah, then Brady Wilmington, Hope Williams split 6-2 and a 6-2 started out later in this season. Joe Cook 66. So originally the 66 was actually 5395 Racing's a secondary account that signed up for the series. I didn't have a real name for the driver. It was that one side by side guy. And yeah, I put Joey Cook as a name because Joey Cook was added on along with like drivers like Bob Smith and Joey Smith in the field. Ross Kenseth ran the series, and Carter Lum and Katie Money split the 88 car in these seasons for the first 2 seasons. So in the first season, Jake Hoover did win the first race. I put Daytona. It was Orlando. Kind of changing up some of the tracks, kind of making it more simplified whenever I make the full track win list again for every single series in history. Because it'd be very weird to see like Columbus and Kansas where they're basically the same track and stuff like that. And Daytona, Orlando. I mean, Orlando not really used a lot in diecast racing, and kind of changed where Daytona does take over a lot of races, and Talladega later on, and you'll see Talladega in this video for races in a little bit. Calebville Raceway was won by Caleb Campbell. Jackson Rega won 2 of the first 5 races. These were his only 2 wins. In his first season, the 46 team was really dominant, and I don't remember a lot of crazy moments in the first season. The only big thing I remember was the last 4 races here with Sarah Cox, and she won 4 of the last 5 races. Her debut, Bowman Gray, the run at Milwaukee, and Dixieland. She ran only those 3 races and won all 3 of those races there. And yeah, so I brought her in, and she debuted at Bowman Gray, and then yeah, I went on this tear of wins there. And actually, the 46 team won 6 races in a row here, and they actually opened up the second season with their 7th win in a row with Caleb Campbell at Daytona. Fun fact, or early spoiler for next season. So in the first season, the 46 team did dominate this first season in the X Series. This was also based on full season points. I went to full season points season 2 because I didn't want to do the chase back then because it wasn't really. The field wasn't really didn't really have enough races to do a real chase back in the season with 22 races in the Cup Series. 2017 was Jax Rega was the champion in the series. He actually locked up the title early. He was just very consistent. Like I said, he was the only 2-time series regular winner. Any other driver or team won one season. Eric Monaco was second in points. Joey Cook was third. Ross Kenseth, Dylan Bates, and then there's Austin Myers, James Kinghart. And I think probably down to third. Down to Ramos are top 10 points. I was able to find 17 teams here, probably about 15 full-timers among this field. This was actually a pretty big field, by the way, too. I think nearly 30 cars in this season. And unfortunately, too, in this series, although I did have the roster increase with the points results here, the roster in real life did decrease down throughout the season. I'll talk about it more in Season 3. Let's go to Season 2 here. Christian Parker goes to the 1 car. I think Ezekiel Morris did run the season. I don't know where he was. I didn't include him in this part here yet, or at all right now. I could add him back in later if I need to. Eric Monaco in the 3 car in this season. I don't think he ran full time really in the series, but I keep him there for now. Dylan Bates in 00. That's actually gonna be a pretty funny story here in a minute. Haley Deegan, this was her first series she ran in. Then Junior Ramos, Eli Johnson, he went down from the Cup Series to run here. Sarah Cox in her rookie season. And I actually had the Inter 2003 GO himself, Fred Jones, running this series. So, yeah, keeping him alive here. Caleb Grant in the 46 together. Andy Jones, this guy signed up for my 51 car on my team. And fun fact, this car did win a pretty funny race in the season. Jake Hoover, then you got Bob Smith, then Brady and his sister, and then James Edwards, all the watchdowers there. Ryan Preston in 63. So there is one historical change with this season that I'll mention as well in the points here with Ryan Preston and Sarah Cox, actually. Ross Kenseth, then Chelsea Moore. This was a rookie for Shane Winslow's team. Joey Smith, and then Carter Lemon and Kaden Mahoney. So in the season, like I said, Caleb did over the season winning. Actually, he beat out Sarah in the photo finish in this race, by the way. Yeah, Sarah Cox won race 2. Haley Deegan got her first win at Bowman Gray. Let's see. Thunder was won by Smith. IRP was won by Ryan Press for his first win. This North Wilkesboro one was pretty fun with Sarah Cox won. That race was pretty fun to have for the finish. Joey Smith got a big win at Augusta in this season. So this Glenville race right here, the Edney Jones won. this is actually the only race I've had end early due to my power going out at my house. During when I was making this race, my power actually went out. And I thought it'd be a funny storyline to have Etney Jones win the race as he was leading at the time. And basically the power went out when he was leading. So I was like, hey, let's just have this be the storyline for the end of this race here at Glenville. And yeah, that happened. So then Philadelphia, this was actually Kale's birthday win with Sarah Cox winning back in 2018. Yeah, 2018 was when this season ran. It was early 2018. Then Forsyth. So Dylan Bates won this race. This was a really fun race at the end. I'm pretty sure there's probably a photo of this finish in my archive of old photos again. But this was actually a near 8 wide finish at Forsyth Super Speedway. Remember, because this was actually the first time I kind of widened out Forsyth to make it a lot bigger than it used to be. And yeah, there was about a 6-7 wide finish with the X Series drivers in this race there. Cale Campbell won the only Atlanta race the X Series ever ran, beating out Hope Wilmington in this race. Haley Deegan won Caleville to make the Final Four season, and Dixieland Raceway. So there was a historical change here. Originally, a number 46 car won this race, but I don't remember who drove that 46 car in that race. And Ryan Preston and James Edwards actually ganged up on Sarah Cox and nearly wrecked her out of the finale to basically steal the championship from her because it was a funny storyline because Brady Wilmington at the time, he was a team owner for that Pacific race team with the 62 and 63, and he probably would have complained that Sarah won the championship and his driver got second, even though Sarah had a really good season. And back in 2021, when a lot of issues happened, I decided to go back and redo this race. I also redid the NEFL finale where Brady Wilmington originally won a championship, and you'll see later on that was changed as well. The race winner wasn't changed, but that the outcome of that championship was changed, and I don't even have the results for that race to even see how it was changed. Or I might, who knows? It might be in all season 7 results. But yeah, so Sarah did actually won Dixieland Raceway, which is pretty funny because her team also won the owner's title, and you see the 27 to 46 kind of the more dominant cars. The 46 originally won every single owner's championship until this change happened. So Sarah Cox basically having all that rewrite go towards her way here basically gave her a championship and changed up the history for the X Series a little bit back in this series. Yeah, Ryan Preston ended up being the runner-up here. The results might have been different for the finale of the Final Four, but I decided to kind of make it to where Preston was runner-up and Deegan and Boss Smith in their original finishing spots, third and fourth. Ross Kenson was the fifth best series regular. Fred Jones was sixth, the highest non-winning regular. Eric Monaco still not a single career win. Then Etney Jones that crazy win. A lot of drivers bottom of crazy ones. Junior Ramos wasn't really consistent, but he won. And he'll actually show up in the next season actually in the top of the points. Eli Johnson, another abysmal season. I think this was the last full season that had Eli Johnson run till he disappeared till season number 6, by the way, too, and everything. So now going to the final season of this series here. So this, of course, very, very short for all the series here, but did a lot of talking to for Stars video about future stuff that's being announced in the next few days. So season 3 of the series here. So this was kind of like a big fall-off season in general for the Shane's Xfinity series, because in this season, I announced the Gen 4 series was going to be all a part of this league. Oh, fun fact, I did also find the Gen 4 results for that first season with the race winners on that old website. So I'm not going to include it still, but the results are there in general for everything on it. But in this final season here, so like this series really kind of fell off, and I wasn't really happy with it. So I want to say probably around the middle of the season, I did decide to announce after a lot of just 1 or 2 people only really watching the race and lower viewership and everything. This was kind of really the first series I really axed and did away with, along with the year-long format back then on my older channel, because those series didn't really get a lot of viewership as well, and that's part of the reason why the pre-BMR era kind of fell apart when the BMR started up. But basically, so just all that, I was like, I'm kind of done doing this series here, and the Gen 4 series moved up to be the secondary series because everyone had their eyes more on that series. Even though the Gen 4 series at this time was a lower tiered series, and this was still the second tier series as well. But yeah, people were more into watching the Gen 4 cars and these cars race around in the league. Even though there were still great races in the season 2, by the way. Duncan Patel actually came back in the series. He actually stopped running full time in season 3 in the Cup series. Elizabeth Patel had her 6 part time. I probably could have had her in part time season 2 as well. Dylan Bates, Hilding, and Junior Ramos, James Johnson, Jordan Scott, 2 rookies out, eventually be future drivers in the Cup series. Kaden Money, John Newcheck split the 41 car. Carter Lillman might have been his car too. but I know he didn't win a race here. Caleb Campbell, Grant Hoover, Andrew Crockett, who ended up winning that Gen 4 title in the same season where this series shut down. Um, and Spencer Davis. So Spencer Davis is a pretty funny story because he actually does win in the 46 years. That's why he's actually on this list. Trevor Stewart, rookie in this series, and there's actually another story with him between him and Nemechek here. Ezekiel Morris, 51. So Ezekiel went to my race team in the final season here in this series. Jake Hoover, then Bob Smith, James Edwards, Ryan Preston, Sebastian Cook, another rookie who would be in the Cup Series in the future. Ross Kenseth, Natalie Decker. This was a pretty funny one. Joey Smith, and as you see, Natalie Decker did win the season opener here. Boston won Colorado County. Funny enough, the week after Boston won this race, 5395 Racing announced that Bob Smith would be retiring, so I thought it was pretty weird and hilarious because Bob Smith made the Final Four the season before. And I mean, he still ran decent in this season. Wasn't really a championship threat, but he was still very decent. Katie Money got the win at Caleville in the 41. George Scott got his first win at Pikes Peak. Spencer Davis won a weird race at Bristol. Pretty weird that he won it, honestly. IRP, George Scott won his race. This is actually a race where I did a doubleheader. I made 2 races in one day with the Gen 4 series and this series at IRP and got both races out as fast as possible. The Nike Haley D won a caution-free race there at Nike, I believe. And sorry, my nose is also bugging me right now too while talking. So you got Augusta. So this is race won by John Hunter Nemechek. So Nemechek and Trevor Stewart going at it for the win in this race. And it was actually a photo finish at the line, and Nemechek beat out Stewart. Kind of due to the end of the Chevy Camaro noses. The 41 was one of the Chevy Camaros. And yeah, he basically beat him out by a nose there. Yeah, so then Sebastian Cook got a big one at Forsyth. James Johnson won Glenville around Christmas 2018. And yeah, so that really does it for this series here. Now I'll talk about the end of the season here. 46 team did win the Owners Championship. Actually, Caleb Campbell didn't win a lot in the season. He only won twice. North Wilkesboro and Caleb. That was pretty funny to look at. But yeah, so the 46 team won the Owners title. George Scott was the champion, beating out James Edwards in the season. So I'm pretty sure after this season, Scott went to the Gen 4 series for a full-time campaign and might have still been labeled as a rookie. I don't remember. But James Edwards went to the Cup Series. Junior Ramos, he went Gen 4 racing as well in the next Gen 4 season. Ryan Preston went Gen 4 racing as well. And actually, Ryan Preston wasn't really active a lot after signing up in the first season. So he was actually dropped by Brady Wilmington's team after this season and picked up by Brendan Creason's team to drive the 4 car in Gen 4. Haley Diggy went Gen 4 racing. Duncan Patel, I think he stopped racing again. Then he came back for the short track series in the next year. Bob Smith, same as Duncan Patel. James Johnson, I think he became a rookie in the Cup Series season 5. Sebastian Cook, he went Gen 4, then Cup. Ezekiel Morris, he might have been full time in Gen 4 in the third Gen 4 season. I'll have to look back at that, or the second Gen 4 season technically. 41 team, they kind of everybody else here in the points after the end of the season. And yeah, that really does it with this series. So I only got the winless counted. So the reason why the win list looks weird here because I actually copied and pasted this from the website because the win list was fully accurate, actually. I think the Gen 4 one and the Cup one may not be fully accurate, but yeah, this win list was accurate. Caleb with 9 wins, Sarah Cox second most with 7, Bob Smith, and there's a lot of drivers out with 3, 2, or 1 win here. A lot of drivers did win the series, 29 different winners. We had 29 winners here, but nobody really cared for the series because of some of the dominance by the 27 to 46, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, so this series, it was a pretty fun series whenever I did it at the time, and it was really cool kind of doing like a street stock style series. I know Luther Productions made a street stock style season popular probably a year after this series ran, or probably during the season. But yeah, his was more watched than mine, unfortunately, because my channel was still smaller at the time too. Of course, my channel was always smaller than his channel, and I really hated it. But luckily though, this channel is getting back to where it's good. But don't know if I would ever do a series like this again. Of course, like I did say, there are some future announcements coming soon for this channel in general with a few things. And yeah, we'll get to those announcements here in the next few days. But anyway, this does do it for the Shane's Xfinity Series history here of these 3 seasons. And also did kind of know the story for Sarah Cox being added in as well. She'll be another name we'll see in the Not So Fantasy League seasons. And not really many other drivers. There were definitely a good few forgotten drivers in this field, by the way, too. So thank y'all so much for watching. It's Sport Channel like always. This will be Caleb Campbell with Camp Race League signing out. And I'll see y'all next time.